Thank you, Marco, for inviting us to speak today. It was a good opportunity to actually get out of the jeans, or I guess nicer jeans, t-shirt and sneakers. So we're an Israeli-based company. We're an earlier stage startup than most of the companies that have spoken until now. We opened the company back in 2007. It took us 2.5 years to develop a automated SEO analytics solution. So what we essentially are is a software as a service platform for SEO. So I'll give you a little background on the company, and then at the end I'm actually going to go a little bit into details of Google's latest updates, because I love to talk about the company, but I love to talk about Google even more since they help us make money. So Rank Above is all about optimization. We intelligently go ahead, index websites, gather information, take that unstructured data and make it structured so that in-house IT teams, CTOs, VPs of product, and even marketing teams can actually go ahead and start executing a proper SEO strategy rather than using agencies, can actually do that in-house in a proper way. So why is SEO important? How many people in this room actually currently do SEO for their websites? Well, I would expect to see a lot more hands. How many people currently do SEM for their websites? Paid search. And I believe there were more hands that went up for paid search. So the advantages of actually doing SEO, and I believe in both strategies, SEO is a wonderful branding tool. One of the things that you see that when you do both SEO and paid search along on the search page is that you own more real estate, and that's something I covered yesterday. Most online research actually begins with a search, right? So the way people actually go and look for information, it could be a product, it could be content, it could be a question that they're looking for an answer for. Yeah, Quora is great, and I'm sure the millions of users who are searching Quora are probably getting there by actually going to Google, typing in their question, maybe getting to a Quora page, and then actually doing further searches within that platform. SEO is also is wonderful for content distribution, for content sites. If you think about the search page as it is today, it's evolved from a page with 10 results for organic search, 10 results for paid search, or it used to be a little bit less, to a very complicated, very large web property at this point that takes everything from Google Places into account, to video, to images. Now Google's added in paid images and bidding for on the paid search side. It could take content and many other aspects. So Google's actually a very large platform. It's phenomenal for content distribution, for content that your users, if you're CNN.com, that's great that people might be hitting your website, but if you actually look at CNN's traffic or a lot of the other major content providers' websites, the way people got there is either by doing a search for CNN or latest news stories that are currently happening, and being there for the most relevant, most updated story is going to get you traffic. Actually, a great example of that is I'm American, right? So we're a little bit into the Kardashians these days, Kim specifically. So when they announced the divorce that one of our customers was actually anticipating, they already had an article ready to go about the divorce. Nobody knew it was going to take 72 days. The content was ready to go about the split up. They got it up there. The amount of searches that took place for Kim Kardashian divorce was unbelievable within the first hours of the announcement. This customer's website actually ranked #1 for that story for many, many hours, and I believe is still in the top 5 positions for it, and has not just driven tremendous amount of traffic, but it's also obviously driven, since it's a content site, tremendous amounts of revenue and page views to that customer's site. So you can see it's a great way for content distribution when done right. It could also be your worst enemy when you don't do it properly, as we've seen. So what is it that actually caused us to go ahead and build an SEO platform when an agency business is nice? There are a lot of very large agency businesses charge anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000 a month for doing your SEO as an outsourced agency. We think that's great if it works for a company. But we actually believe that to create the opportunity to do that in-house is extremely important in organizations. SEO should not be, the secondary child that you don't really feel like dealing with, but it should actually be an integral part of your IT team. Your CTO should care about it, your VP product should care about it, and it should be baked into every product that is built within the organization that you're eventually looking to have indexed and ranked within Google. So the problem that we were actually facing when we started off is that, SEO is just, it's not quantifiable. You go out there to do SEO and you say, well, we're not really sure what we're going to get in return. We're not sure we're going to make these changes. What's really going to happen, right? So companies are kind of scared, when you do a paid search campaign, you spend $1, you know how many dollars you're going to receive in return. It's kind of out there and you're not sure exactly what you're going to get as a result of your SEO campaign. But to say I'm not going to do it because of that didn't really make much sense. The other thing that we focus on is that it's expensive and it's extremely inefficient. When you have an agency that's working with you, they're looking for you to make every single change on your website, even though every single change is most likely not required, because Google's algorithm takes many different aspects. We actually break it down to a little bit over 60 elements per page that have to be optimized. So if you're a million-page website, in order to do that in an efficient manner, because you're talking about 60 million different elements that are constantly moving, Google's algorithm is constantly changing to be able to rank those factors in different weights is nearly impossible. And that agency is going to tell you change everything so that they look good at the end of the day with your SEO success, even though many of those changes will give you absolutely no impact. So I would say that that's probably the height of inefficiency and wasted money within many organizations. The other thing that the last point is really it's failure for large sites, because large sites, one of the things that Google wants to be able to do is find the information on your website. And many large sites are kind of built over a long period of time. The templates of the site have changed. They may have even launched onto a new content management system, the way they actually display their pages and use to update the website. And there are normally inconsistencies within these websites when they roll onto that new platform. So what happens is that many of the pages are not getting indexed properly. Many of the categories, many of the keywords that should be driving traffic to the site are no longer doing so because those pages are not being indexed and not being found by Google. So we went ahead and essentially went to create our product Drive, which makes sense of all of those different elements. So manual SEO versus automated SEO. And when I talk about automated SEO, obviously you need the best solution on the market, and that's the product that we've developed. So it's slow, it's messy, we mentioned those before, and we mentioned that it's inaccurate, right? So one of the things that we go ahead and do is we start analyzing your website by doing a crawl of your site independently. Anybody who's set up either a paid search campaign or an analytics platform or many other software products on their website knows that unfortunately at times things aren't always done 100% properly and pages are mistagged. Traffic is missed, which we see consistently on very large websites, and you don't really have a handle on what's happening on the site. So we didn't want to leave it up to developers, marketing people, or anybody else managing the site to actually implement code on a page that we would be reliant upon. So we said, hey, why not be a search engine? So we go ahead and actually index a website, we find all the information, we parse it out into different elements, and within just a few minutes we actually have tremendous amounts of data for you on your website. And that same core technology we've used to build many other features, many other kinds of products off of that. So what does Drive do? Let's focus on a few of the really cool and interesting things where SEO used to take 3, 6, 9, 12 months, depending on the agency you decided to go with. We're able to show you your first data within 5 minutes. That's pretty incredible to be able to scale and search millions of pages because of the way we actually index your website. We're able to see all those pages pretty quickly, and we're able to give you your first SEO action items within minutes. We allow you to do all your keyword research, all of your on-page optimization, so to understand those 60+ different issues that exist on the page and what you need to do. But more importantly, what we actually do is we give you a prioritization system based on how important a page is within your overall website. So obviously your homepage is going to be more important than a product page. Say if you sell cameras, your Canon EOS or whatever the camera type might be, that's not going to be as important as your homepage. So we show you that, that element of it. And the other thing that we've actually done that I think is pretty fascinating and incredible is we are in the process of, we like to say, reverse engineering Google. We look at every change that takes place across all of our customer sites. We're running hundreds of different test sites to see every time a change is made on a website, how does Google actually look at that change? Our algorithm then goes ahead and responds by giving you a priority based on Google's changing landscape of search, and will give you the opportunity to actually rank things based on the priority, focus based on priority. So instead of doing 100%, they'll most likely give you, 20% results. We say, ignore the 80% or so, or ignore whatever percentage it might be that's not going to give you maximum return, and focus on the percentage that will actually give you real business return. Because at the end of the day, most websites, I believe, are not-for-profits. They're in it to make money. And to get your content distributed, to get your pages indexed, to get your product pages visited, and then an item purchased, or have many minutes on a user session going many pages deep, is obviously very, very important for a company. We give them the ability to see all that data by also integrating analytics suite, so you can actually not just assess what are the best keywords for you, but also what are the best performing keywords for you. And we do that in a pretty efficient and quick manner as well. And the other thing that we do, because Google's always changing, is that indexing process doesn't happen once. It actually happens either on demand or on an ongoing basis. So we're constantly crawling your website, constantly finding new opportunities, constantly finding changes and new pages that may have been added to your website over time. And then we make the recommendations for how you can fix those new pages. Right? But most likely you've actually solved that because you've used our nifty little tool, which actually can break down your website into different sections or templates that your website's been built off of. And we've already made recommendations for how to fix the templates from a page generation perspective. And now all of a sudden your site is actually optimized from the get-go. So I'll give you one quick case study of a customer of ours that recently launched a brand new website. Several months back, Spike, which is part of Viacom, came to us saying, we've got a very difficult problem. We've got this 6 million URL domain. We've just built a new site. We need to redirect, or we need to launch a new site. And what happens in some cases is websites just say, hey, let's throw the new site up on the production server and ignore the old website. The problem is that you've actually built up relevance and credibility within Google and a history. And if you lose that history by not redirecting the old pages to the new pages and matching up properly on your website, you've just lost all of your years of hard work. The problem with launching a site and doing a redesign, in many cases when an agency comes in fact, they had a price quote from one of the biggest agencies in the world, they would take a minimum of 6 months to be able to do a site rollover. We were able to do a rollover for them, and not us actually, our software helped them do their rollover in less than 7 days. The speed and accuracy at which it was done was absolutely incredible. They lost no traffic in the rollover, where typically customers of ours do lose some traffic in that process. They had almost 100% matchup of old URLs to new URLs, and it constantly was searching through the index to make sure that these pages were rolled over properly. And since then, their traffic has actually gone up significantly from their previous benchmark. So it was a pretty significant achievement on our part, and that's another technology that we were able to basically spin off of our core crawling capabilities. So who uses our platform? A few customers. As I said, we're still pretty early stage. We only started true active sales this year. We only started putting a sales team into place to date. RANKABOVE, I guess, is a pretty good brand name in the search business because that's what everybody's trying to do. So most of our traffic has actually been inbound to date. We like to say that we haven't really spent any money on marketing just yet, and we've built up a pretty decent business that's looking like it's going to scale nicely in the coming years. One other aspect of the business is actually we've developed an API because we view ourselves as a big data company. We have a lot of data. We have a lot of capabilities of aggregating data. But what a lot of small businesses actually have a challenge with is really doing something with SEO data. Most of them won't be able to make significant changes on websites. So we've created a platform to allow other third parties to start grabbing that data and displaying data to small businesses so they can understand who are you competing with in search, who are your, what are your keyword opportunities you should be going after, so on and so forth, and that's going to be a significant part of our business in 2012, the distribution of data through third parties. So you might see RANKABOVE powering a whole bunch of hosting providers in the next year, and a lot of the do-it-yourself website providers as well with their SEO data, since we go ahead and aggregate all of that. And then we can go into Google Panda if Marco tells me that I've got another minute or two.
2 seconds.
2 seconds. So the only thing I'll say about Google Panda that we found, and one of the reasons that we're so strong in the, if you were able to see based on that previous slide, within the media and content space, media and entertainment and content sites, is that biggest winners from Google Panda, and obviously that works to our benefit, are video and sites based on images. Anybody that was heavily focused on that actually did very well in terms of gaining when other companies that were scraping content and just regenerating the same old content across the web. Those were big gainers, and you can visit our booth later, and we can go and discuss it further.
Thank you very much, Mayor.